a lot of drama regarding Elon Musk and potentially silencing and censoring folks, H-1B visas, immigration debates, anger at Vivek and Musk by folks within the Trump or MAGA community, which then you've got people on the left who are sort of cheering this new division amongst those on the right. And a lot of people might be hearing about some drama going on with Musk and Vivek. And a lot of Democrats might even be looking at this going like, what's going on? Like, how's there so much infighting all of a sudden? What I wanted to do was basically give you an overview of exactly what's going on so you understand this immigration H-1B visa debate. I'll give you some of the facts and arguments on both sides. And then at the end of this video, if you make it all the way to the end, you're going to get a special reward. You're going to get my opinion, which, for whatever that's worth, I guess you could decide once we get there. That's pretty loud, Jack. You want to come say hi? And Jack just goes flushes the toilet. Like the loudest flush I've ever heard in my life. It's all good. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the iPhone mic didn't even hear it. Anyway, here we go. So let's start with some of the censorship stuff. So first, there's this poster on X called Laura Loomer. Some people call her super right-wing. Other people say that she's just somebody who gets a lot of engagement on X. Well, apparently she lost her blue check mark for saying that Musk had his feelings hurt about her complaints towards Musk when she criticized him for basically putting profits over Americans. And this is kind of the root of what the debate is that's going on. On one side, you have people who say, oh, Musk and Vivek, they're just corporate elitists and they just care about more profit. And that's why they want to, hey guys, could you guys chill out just a little bit? Okay, I asked you to be super quiet and I can't really concentrate. Thank you. Anyway, they are just corporate profiteers and they want to hire quote unquote slaves from India and cheap slave labor for $60,000, $70,000 a year. So that way they can pad their corporate profits and make more money basically. And these sort of arguments are really offending, obviously, people like Musk and Vivek. And, you know, there have been allegations that Musk can get a little, some people say, sensitive when, you know, things are said about him on social media. Musk has talked about this himself, where he sort of blamed his childhood. And anyway, this kind of gets off into a tangent. It doesn't matter so much. But the point is, apparently, Laura Loomer, Loomer has now been suspended from X for 24 hours for doxing somebody's campaign donations, which seemed unrelated from this whole debate that was going on. Her blue check mark was also put under review on X. She alleges because she criticized Elon Musk. There are some other accounts like Conservative OG that says they lost their gold badge in this drama as well, which led folks to claim that basically Elon is now censoring free speech, to which other people say, what do you mean? And taking away a badge doesn't prevent you from talking. But then people counter and say, yeah, but if you take away the blue badge, you're taking away their monetization and you're basically demonetizing them for saying something you don't like. So as you can see, like, see here, I'm not trying to take a side on this, but I just want you to see how extreme this has gotten, because a lot of folks that are pro-Trump have up to this point all pretty much been on the same side as far as you could really tell. But now you're seeing this real rift where on one side you kind of have like your nationalist Trumpers, and then on the other side you have the corporate Trumpers, if you will. So it's kind of like corporate versus whatever it is, it's got to be American. Okay, we'll break this down a little bit more. So a lot of this drama actually started when Donald Trump chose an Indian American. He's a U.S. citizen, so it's technically an American. You know, I mean, like, if I'm going to call myself an American, he's an American. Why? Because, well, I was born in Germany, right? I came here and I got a green card. I went through the days of the INS, and then I became a legal citizen after years. And then only after I became a legal citizen did I actually get married. I became a citizen before I got married, just worth noting. But anyway, a lot of this drama started because Donald Trump appointed Sriram Krishnan, I probably butchered his name, but anyway, as the White House senior policy advisor for artificial intelligence, alongside David Sachs as sort of an advisor and outside of a real political position. And this person, again, born in India, where we have, you know, in America, a lot, obviously, of Indian workers. in tech, but also in leadership positions. I mean, just look around at corporations. We get a lot of corporations led by Indian Americans. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but what people are doing is they're saying, oh my gosh, Americans are being replaced by Indians. And then there's this counter argument that's like, wait a minute. What do you mean Americans are being replaced by Indians? These Indians are also American. And then it sort of opens up this can of worms of like, okay, well, what is un-American? Like, how many generations do you have to be here to be called un-American? Because if they're not an American, then I'm not an American either. Remember, I was born in Germany, so I'm technically, I mean, I guess those two boys over there, those knuckleheads, what's up? I guess technically they're first gen Americans. Still half German, buddy. And go practice German. Yes. Yeah, there you go. All right. Anyway, so this person, look, he's actually got a pretty colorful career. He came out here in 2007 through an L1 visa, which is an intercompany transfer via Microsoft. So he's working for Microsoft, you know, and obviously now people on the internet are doing the whole Microsoft technical support kind of like, you know, stuff. I mean, there's honestly just a lot of racism going on out there. But anyway, this guy works for Andreessen Horowitz. You know, these are like the big league VCs. He's been an entrepreneur. He's an author. He's worked for Microsoft, Twitter, Yahoo, Facebook, Snap. He's worked with Elon on rebranding X. Yeah, he was born in India, but he you know, convinced his dad to get him a computer when he was young and learned to code. You know, like he's pro green cards. Like he's kind of pretty self-made from what I can tell. Like this, I don't know much about him, but it kind of seems inspiring. He came here, worked hard. It seems like. And he got pretty far. But now you've got people posting things like, do you really want Indians running America? And then people are like, what? Shouldn't this be about who has the best merit rather than the color of the skin or where they were born? You know, like I personally still think it's kind of crazy that you have to have been born in America to be president of the United States, because you don't get to choose where you were born, just like you don't get to choose the color of your skin. But anyway, whatever. So it appears there's a lot of this drama going on about him being a foreigner, but again, he's a U.S. citizen. So there are trending posts now that are basically saying things like, do not remove caps on H-1B visas because we don't want more H-1Bs. Well, we only have like 60 to 80,000 H-1Bs a year, which is a fraction of the applications that this program gets, which gets somewhere around, according to USCIS, somewhere around 400,000 applications a year. But there are complaints about there being too many Indians or, you know, already too many H-1Bs. Canada did it, and now they have too many immigrants, and we should just remove H-1Bs in total. And what really we should be doing is focusing on American equity. In other words, American fairness. Rather than allowing corporations to use cheap slave labor to replace you, we should be focusing on American fairness by giving all Americans that chance. So, what does that potentially mean? Well, that potentially means getting rid of the H-1B process all in all, and only hiring people out of American colleges. In fact, Tucker Carlson says the H-1B process robs American college students of an opportunity in America because you're basically using a tricky lottery system that only has an application window 14 days out of the year, and then it has a 2 to 8 month process with it. Basically, it's so complicated to go through the process. You really only have corporations who are able to get H-1Bs in because they're familiar with the H-1B process. So you have basically massive corporations who are able to take advantage of that lower paid potential worker, whereas maybe small businesses don't have the experience or money or resources to use that process. So small businesses aren't the ones benefiting. And this is kind of where you enhance that corporate issue. You guys are so loud. you like everything you're saying. If you can, though, guys, please be a little quieter. Thank you. So what's kind of wild is if the H-1B process was available to all businesses, then maybe small, medium, and large businesses could benefit, which technically it is, but it's such a legally involved process, and you got to wait so long for that worker to show up that it's kind of hard for small businesses to use the process. I've tried using it before in the past too, and it's kind of like, dang, this is really complicated. I don't think we can pull it off. And we never did because we're just not that big of a company. And we're like, all right, never mind. I guess that's not going to work. So anyway, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of hiring American, but I'm also a big fan of like, hey, like, if I have a relationship with somebody who lives outside of the country and we can help them with a solid job and housing or whatever else, great. But then I also understand that flip argument of, well, why not hire American, right? So you kind of see the two sides and duality. And I'll give you my opinion on this and potential solution in just a moment. But what I kind of see right now is you have this rift amongst people who seem to be very anti-DEI when it comes to LGBTQ. So think about this. Let's just assume for a moment that everybody making this argument is anti-DEI for, you know, LGBTQ or woke or whatever people say, okay? And I'm not here saying that people should be anti-equality or equal opportunity for LGBTQ. I'm just saying it seems like this is a group where everybody seems to be in agreement that, oh, they're anti like diversity, equity, and inclusion. But now there's a rift that's formed, and you actually have two types of DEI. So I'm calling it the anti-DEI absolutist. That's one group. And that's sort of your Musk and Vivek. These are the folks that are like, only hire the most qualified people. That's it. No diversity or skin color or race. None of that is considered at all. Then you have the other side of the anti-DEI camp, and they kind of seem to be more anti-DI, so like anti-diversity inclusion, but they want equity. They want equity for Americans. So basically, hire American, and that's it. Okay, but again, like, what's an American? This is sort of your nationalistic DEI, like no DEI, but you must hire American. So that's like, okay, got it. So you want equity amongst Americans. Anyway, there's probably a better way to describe that rift, but those are the two groups you have. So again, on the corporate absolutist, the anti-DEI absolutist side, you have Vivek and Musk. And you even have people like Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David chimes in and says, so you want me not to hire a high-performing, hard-working, skilled Indian, and you want me to hire an American even if that person is not capable, lacks skills, and is entitled. Oh, so you support DEI. All right, so the problem with that is Patrick Bet-David basically says there are only two options. Hire somebody not qualified or hire somebody qualified and foreign, right? So not qualified American, foreign, and qualified. But that is sort of like an apples to oranges comparison. You're not really creating a fair comparison here. And don't get me wrong, I respect Patrick Bet-David, but let's be real here. You could be in a situation where you have a highly qualified foreigner and a highly qualified American, which makes the situation a little bit more blurry, because then it's like, okay, do you put them to a test? Do you put them to a competition, or do you always go for the American? Well, Elon Musk kind of responds to this, and he argues and says, well, we should skim the top 0.1% of workers, like maybe graduates of schools or colleges or whatever, and that we shouldn't allow anybody with a degree to apply for an H-1B, but rather it should be competitive rather than a random monopoly process. So that way you could actually find the best talent. See, Musk and Vivek believe that in order for America to remain competitive, you have to have the best talent here in America by attracting that talent from all across the world to America. Vivek says, hey, the reason we hire foreign workers is because our system and culture is broken. We need to replace the entire H-1B system because companies find that Americans have an IQ deficit, and basically it's a lazy culture. So this has pissed a lot of people off because they're like, wait a minute, now you're calling Americans lazy. But he does say our culture has celebrated jocks and prom queens over math Olympiads or valedictorians. Vivek says that we have created a culture, at least since the 90s, that has promoted mediocrity. And he says normal and showing up to get your participation trophy or your B in your class or whatever, that's just not going to cut it in a competitive world anymore. And it's time for culture to wake up. So until then, hire the hardest working, most qualified people wherever they're from. Patrick Bet-David kind of argues this and goes, yeah, I was an Iranian immigrant willing to work 80-hour weeks. And that's why he says he was able to succeed. In other words, Patrick Bet-David is making this argument of like, hey, we should let other people try to succeed as well. Jack, would you mind not messing with the safe at the moment? Yeah. Of course, social media then immediately went to the extreme and says, it turns out the waste that the Department of Governmental Efficiency wanted to cut from America was actually Americans. Okay, all right. So this is where you could see that things just on social media get really ridiculously extreme. And frankly, I think there is a simple solution to all of this. Okay, actually, no, there's never really a simple solution to all of this. But here's my take on this, okay? My take is we have to look at the first and foremost problem. The first and foremost problem is that we are not educating Americans the way we should. That's my take. I ran for governor under that belief in the state of California that our schools suck. It's not your fault. It's not your neighbor's fault. It's not the dude at Walmart's fault. It's frankly all of the generations of leaders who were in charge of our schooling before us who gave us a kind of crap school system. And that sucks. And I'm not here to try to point the finger. You know, I've actually tried to run for government to try to help solve these problems because I think everybody has a point. But let's go to the root of the problem. If we had, look, we are the best economy in the world by a factor of 2. And if our K through 12 schools in America were the absolute best product in the world with no close second, just like we're the best economy in the world by 2. What if we had the best schools in the world by a factor of 2? No close second. Then what? Well, we wouldn't be debating immigration for talent because we'd be swimming in talent in the United States. And look, I'm not saying we aren't. There is a lot of talent in the United States, but we can all agree this. We can all agree on this. Our schools leave something to be desired. Unless you have a lot of money and you can send your kids to a bunch of prep schools or private schools or boarding schools or whatever. I'm not sure people want to go to that anyway. It's kind of impossible to compete with what some other countries are doing in educating their talent to be hyper competitive. So yes, our immigration system is broken. Absolutely, we should be fixing our immigration system. In fact, this is why you have some people saying, hey, like, if you want to attract the best talent, get rid of the H-1B process and go for O-1 visas, which basically only allow people in with extraordinary talent, as opposed to H-1Bs, which allow people in with any specialty in STEM, basically any tech job, and engineering and mathematics and sciences, right? Which is a whole host of different things. And you don't have to meet any kind of specific criteria of talent. You just sort of lottery in. And that's why people are like, well, if you lottery in and you didn't even get in through competitiveness or extraordinary talent, then you are just robbing Americans of those jobs and replacing them with cheaper labor. I kind of get that argument because, Patrick Bet-David is like, wait a minute, you're saying I should hire a less qualified American who's entitled versus, someone with an H-1B visa who's, hyper qualified. But wait a minute, that's not what the H-1B visa process is about. H-1B process doesn't filter by the best. So that's kind of where this debate is coming from. So yeah, look, it's all broken. I totally agree. It's broken. You want to say something? Come here. Are you going to compete in this world? Are you going to work hard and compete?
Yeah.
Good answer. What about you, Max? He's bowling. He's practicing his competition right now. Aren't you taking bowling lessons, by the way, so you can compete?
Yeah.
And golf lessons?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice, Max. Taking league now too, huh? Good for you, man. Babies. Yeah. You love your babies. We have 5 babies at home. All right. Anyway, so I wanted to get this out mostly because I think it's pretty important to try to provide some neutral insight on this because in my opinion, I don't think my position is very controversial to be pro schools. I do see that social media, as usual, has some real extremes. There are some extremes that are just straight up racist. there's some extremes that are way extreme to the other opposite end, which are probably anti-American. And then there are reasonable arguments in the middle, which can be pro-American, which can be pro-school, which can be pro-legal immigration, pro-highly qualified immigration, and achieve basically everything everybody's asking for. I know that sounds crazy, but I actually don't think it's that hard to fix this to where you could hire non-entitled, hardworking people who are in the top 0.01%, who, it doesn't matter really what the color of their skin is or their race or whatever. If they've got the talent, they can compete. And basically, what we should be doing is just giving Americans the best leg up. So, I don't think Tucker Carlson is wrong when he says that our students in America have been robbed, because, when people graduate school, they have to compete with potentially lower waged H-1Bs. But in fairness, is it the H-1B robbing them, or the schools just not make us as competitive as we should have been? Well, honestly, it's probably a combination of both. And that's why I think you got to solve both ends. Anyway, that's my take. I just haven't heard anybody else talk about how broken education is in America. So hopefully we can get a little bit more of that sort of discussion going. Anyway, I got to hang out with the kids, which I'm excited to because we've got a big weekend. You ready, buddy? What are we doing this weekend?
Skiing.
Woo! Yes, bring me your glass. Oh, rinse your glass in the bathroom. If you don't mind, Max, you can have some Topo Chico as well. Rinse your glass. That's not Max. Rinse your glass in the bathroom, and then I'll pour you some Topo Chico, okay?
I want Topo Chico.
Okay, how was your wine?
Good.
Yeah, you had it all?
Yeah.
Yeah. I give him a cup full of grapes and call it wine. All right, we'll see y'all. Thanks, folks. Bye.